I've been in the world of yo-yo for almost 10 years, and one of the most common things that I hear from people is, oh, I can't yo-yo. I tried and I just can't do it. So I've started thinking to myself, why do people think that they can't yo-yo? And I think I've got the solution, and that's what I'm going to be going over in this video. One of the main reasons that I believe people say that they can't yo-yo is because they start with a yo-yo like this. It's a cheap dollar store yo-yo, probably got it for about 50 cents. You throw it down, it lights up, it's super vibey, and then you try to get it back to your hand and it just doesn't do it. This is not a starter yo-yo for someone who actually wants to learn how to yo-yo. So let's talk about some yo-yos that are. I'm gonna talk about 3 yo-yos that I would recommend to a beginner player. Most of these yo-yos can go responsive or unresponsive, and these are all under the $30 price point. First, starting with a yo-yo that I would recommend to anybody who has never yo-yoed before is the Spin Star. This is one of my favorite starter yo-yos because it's an easy, responsive yo-yo that is actually very easy to use. Even if you just drop it normally, you can tug and it'll still come back to your hand. You can also use this yo-yo to learn some of the basics of string tricks, such as the trapeze. This is a yo-yo that I would more recommend for people who have never yo-yoed before, such as kids just wanting to get into yo-yo, or an adult who had tried it before and then is just trying to get back into it. This yo-yo is not gonna get you super far, but it will get you a very nice starting point that feels really good and is really fun, which that's what yo-yo is all about. The next yo-yo that I would recommend to someone who is a little bit past an only responsive yo-yo would be the First Base. This yo-yo is amazing because it can grow with you and can switch from being responsive to unresponsive when you're ready to start learning some of those harder tricks. All of the yo-yos I talked about today are gonna have a link in the description. The First Base is going to be called the Frostbite. It is the same yo-yo, it's just a different name for the yo-yo. In its responsive state, the First Base is amazing. It can go into string mounts, it can do some more complicated stuff, but if any slack gets into the string, it will respond just as a responsive is designed to. And by getting slack into the string, what I mean is if you throw it down, there's any slack and you drop that, it'll come right back to your hand. That makes responsives really hard to learn more advanced tricks with, which is why if you're wanting to learn 1A, I would recommend at some point very soon upgrading to an unresponsive yo-yo. Aside from that tangent, the First Base is a fantastic starting point for the more advanced 1A tricks. As I mentioned earlier, just by swapping to the unresponsive bearing that this yo-yo comes with, you can turn your First Base into an unresponsive yo-yo, meaning it won't come back to your hand when you tug. In its unresponsive state, this yo-yo is amazing. It plays fabulous for its $20 price, and I can do almost any trick that I can do with my $140 contest yo-yo with this yo-yo. The one downside of it is that it is plastic, and if it hits your hand, it will probably spin out. The metal yo-yos are great because they can hit your hand and keep spinning, which is called a grind, but the plastic yo-yos can't do that as well. As a beginner, that will not affect you. That will only matter for once you reach more advanced play. And now my favorite yo-yo on this list, I'm gonna be talking about the offset plastic cheat code. This yo-yo has to be one of my favorite starter yo-yos ever. In its responsive state, it can do tricks really well, and it seems like it knows when to come back and when to not. However, I would not recommend this as a first yo-yo. It's a little bit awkward in the hand at first. It's very wide, which for smaller hands makes it a little bit tougher. But upgrading to the plastic cheat code after you know how to do a throw and catch, maybe some basic tricks, is a great choice. This yo-yo also has a really nice finger spin cup, which when you get to more advanced tricks, you will appreciate, because that means that you can do the DNA with this responsive yo-yo. Just like the First Base, this yo-yo can also go unresponsive. And in its unresponsive form, this yo-yo is like no other plastic yo-yo that I've used. It's rim weighted really well, so it spins long and spins powerful. I was able to do horizontal tricks, speed combos, bangers, all the stuff that most plastic yo-yos would struggle with. This thing could nail. Being $30, this is the most expensive yo-yo on this list, but I do think that this is one of the best options for a player who wants to get into yo-yo, buy one yo-yo, and work with it for a long time. And there you have it. Those would be my top 3 most affordable beginner yo-yos. Don't start with something like this. It is not worth the headache, it's not worth the hassle, and it's not even worth the 50 cents to $1 that you would spend on this thing. Just get rid of that and just get a nice starting yo-yo. If you have any questions about these yo-yos, or any yo-yos that weren't talked about today, let me know in the comments below and I'll do my best to help you out. But that's going to be the end of this video. I appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next one.